Hi friends, how are you today? I'm sorry I've neglected you. I've been down and out with a back injury and wasn't able to do a Facebook Live laying on my living room floor. So super sorry I've neglected you. Wanted to come in today for just a minute. I don't want this to get too long, so I have to check myself because I tend to rant. I want to talk about carbs. There's a lot of conflicting information out there, and that's one of the questions I get a lot from my clients is, so what do I do about carbs? Let's start with what is a carb? What does it mean? What's a carb? Basically, it means that it's made from hydrogen and carbon, which you don't need to know this. Basically, what it means is your body will break it apart and turn it into sugar once it's consumed. So it doesn't matter if it's bread or pasta or vegetables, everything has a carb content. So basically, carbohydrate means it turns into sugar. Your body doesn't care what kind, sugar is sugar. So people get into trouble when they don't really know what a carb is. They're not sure how much they're supposed to be eating. So what I want to talk about today is kind of how to figure out how many carbs you should be eating. Now, for most people, you don't need as many as you think. And obviously, there's an exception to the rule. People that have more muscle, men, younger people, people that are really active can handle a lot more carbohydrate. Their body just burns through it, and it's not a big deal. But for people much like myself, I'm almost 50. I'm not crazy active. I mean, I work out, but I'm definitely not an athlete or anything. I have to be super, super, super careful. If I consume too many carbs, I puff up like a tick and get super fat super fast. And they also really tank my energy. So those are the people I'm talking about today. So for those of you that are, firemen and athletes, and this doesn't necessarily pertain to you. So what I want to talk about is just kind of where some carbs are sneaking in that we don't see it. A lot of times I'll have clients come in, they go, I don't eat any sugar, I'm eating really low carb, I don't understand why I'm not losing any weight and my energy is still bad. So we look at their stuff, and I want to show you how to figure it out and how tricky it can be. So let's start with breakfast. Let's just pick on breakfast today to keep this kind of short. Some of the most traditional breakfast foods are loaded with carbohydrates, but you might not know looking at the label. So here's a perfect example. Sorry, it's ripped. I stole the label from one of the firemen at work. It's a Cliff Bar. It's got this, Cliff guy on it. He's mountain climbing, so it's got to be good for you, right? I mean, I'm going to mountain climb. So what I want you to do when you first turn over the back of the package, the first thing I want you to look at is carbohydrates. What does that mean? That's how much sugar is your body going to make out of this food. One of the biggest things that I see people doing wrong is they will go to sugars and say, oh, it only has so many grams of sugars. Typically, it's much less. So look at the carbohydrates, because that's what your body's going to turn into sugar. So for this one, it's got 45 grams of carbohydrates. That is almost 9 teaspoons. That's a lot. That's like a candy bar. Seriously. So, okay, 45 grams. What does that mean? Your body, just to give you some perspective, your body can use 5 to 10 grams at any given time. I tell people to kind of aim for the 7. That's the sweet spot, so you don't have to remember. Just look, it has more than 7 grams of carbs. It's a dessert. Put it down, run away screaming. So anything over, let's just pick 7 because it's an easy number, 7 to 10 grams of carbohydrates, your body will burn that for energy. Guess where the rest gets stored? This is awful, and it's not fair, and it's not right. The rest gets stored as fat. Your body can't use it. It has to store it somewhere, so it stores it as fat. So that might give you a little bit of perspective of, why am I storing all this fat? I don't hardly eat any fat. Anyway, moving on from the Cliff Bar. Basically, a Snickers with a mountain climber on it. Another one I want to look at is this Paleo Caveman bar. I'm not bashing the Paleo Caveman bar. My husband eats these. He looks amazing. He's fantastic. And it's a little bit annoying. Sorry, love you, babe, but you're annoying. Because if I were to eat one of these, it would be a nightmare. So let's look at where we kind of buy into the hype. It says paleo on it, right? And down here, if you look, sorry, I'm trying to read upside down. It's non-GMO, and it's organic, and it's gluten-free, and it's dairy-free, and it's soy-free, and all of those are fantastic things. So it would be super easy for me to just grab this on the shelf and go, that's a great breakfast option, super healthy. But we turn it over, again, go to carbohydrates. It's hiding. Here it is, 17 grams. Not as bad as the Cliff Bar, but again, remember, for me personally, anything over that 7 to 10 grams of carbohydrates per meal, and you know, I store fat. So for me, this would be 3 times the amount of fat I need. And yeah, that's not going to work for me. Upside down, sorry. So again, maybe not the best option. Another thing to do, hop down to the ingredients. It's got cashews, sunflowers, organic tapioca syrup, which means sugar. You read through a few more things. It's got more sugar added, more sugar, more sugar. So there's really a lot. Organic agave syrup is sugar. So just look, there's a lot of sugar hiding in this. Not a great option if you're wanting to burn fat. Another thing, let's look at this cereal. Again, I'm not bashing on this cereal. It's fine. But you look, it says organic on it. So automatically, we're so drawn to these labels. It's organic. It's non-GMO. It's all the things, and it's fantastic. It may be, unless you're trying to burn fat, unless you're almost 50 with the slow metabolism. So I look on this one. Again, let's hop over to the grams of carbohydrates. It's got 42 grams per 2/3 of a cup. That's not even a full cup. Pour your cereal in your bowl. How much is in there? Come on, people. We're eating way more than 2/3 of a cup. So I could potentially be getting almost 80 grams of carbs if I were to have a normal serving size. Remember, my body can use 7 to 10. Everything else is going straight to my butt. No thanks. One more, and then I'll move on. Same thing. It's coconut's healthy. Cashews are healthy. Nut butter's all the rage, right? It's organic. Once again, non-GMO. Fantastic choice. I'm going to go ahead and pour me about a cup and a half of this because that's a normal serving size. Unfortunately, for every 3/4 of a cup, 37 grams of carbs. So how much of that is going in my butt? The majority. So that kind of gives you an idea of where you're looking for carbs to kind of give you some perspective. Pay attention to your drinks because your drinks will get you. A lot of those, I think it's the naked juices and even like the green one. Look on the back. Some of those have more sugar than a soda in them. So again, it's going straight to your butt, what you can't use for energy. The older you are, the more sedentary you are, and the less muscle you have, the less your body is able to burn those excess carbs, and you've got to store them. So what do we have for breakfast? Good news. I've created a free resource for you. If you will just click the link below, I've come up with some recipes for you to let's start with breakfast. Let's just pick on breakfast this month. Click on the link below. I'm going to give you some of my favorite recipes that are going to rev up your metabolism. They're going to keep you from getting that energy crash mid-morning, and they're going to make you feel fantastic. You don't have to starve to burn fat. I'm a foodie. I like to eat. I'm not going to ask you to starve. I'm not willing to do it. So click the link below. If you have questions, feel free to pop in and ask me. And again, rest of the month, let's not eat carbs for breakfast. Bye, friends.